Hello, Internet. How you all doing out there? As we were literally, like, the stream kicked in live there for a second, I dropped 500 gigabytes on the floor and had that moment of, how did we ever manage to put 500 gigabytes into something you can drop on the floor without needing a fairly heavy-duty forklift truck to pick it up in the first place?
I'm currently sort of updating my futurology for developers talk for Beauty in Code next week. And yes, just the original version, or the current version of it from last year, I think was the last time I did it. Might even be the year before. There's a micro SD card that is 4 terabytes. And so, never mind dropping half a terabyte, you can accidentally swallow 4 terabytes of data and it wouldn't even hurt. And it would probably, the other thing is, it would probably pass through unscathed and still work.
Yeah, I saw a Reddit thing pop up the other day. The secure data destruction protocol for a certain company was to take the 2.5-inch hard drive caddy and drill 4 massive holes through it. And then they opened one up and discovered that all the actual storage is on a tiny little memory chip along one end, and the rest is just there so that it's big enough to stick in the case. And they weren't actually destroying anything by drilling holes in the casing. So anyway, yes, welcome, folks. So this is our sort of ad hoc, let's figure stuff out. So a bit of context in terms of where we are, and also because apparently context is a big deal when doing language modeling type things.
It is.
This time last week, yeah. I had never used Claude Code for anything, and you had used Claude Code to do all the things all day, every day, until you run out of tokens and then have a nap. And when you get more tokens, you wake up and do some more for a long while.
Yes.
And
I do now.
And so this is very much an experienced practitioner taking somebody, me, hello, with decades of building and shipping software in production and very little experience of, is this agentic? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Agentic AI development.
How do we know that it's agentic? What makes it agentic?
Okay, so to break it down, essentially, you know what an LLM is.
Yes.
It's a stochastic parrot.
Yes.
But an agentic AI it's a piece of software that feeds text into the LLM and gets the responses out. But one of the things that it feeds into the LLM, and we can talk about the order in which this happens as well. So you have there's your core prompt, which, because we're using Claude, that's set by Anthropic, and it tells it not to sort of teach you how to make bombs or kill yourself or sorry, unalive yourself. Sorry, YouTube. Not that we're monetized anyway.
We are actually. It's just not making anything.
Well, okay, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, it stops it telling you how to do bad things.
Yeah.
And then you have the system prompt. And what we've been doing is overriding the system prompt and providing our own to force the agent into explicit personas.
Yeah.
And then you have instructions on how to use tools. And that is what makes it an agent. So it is an LLM plus tools. And those tools are, you can run bash commands. You can use this tool to edit a file, to make changes to a file, essentially by generating the diff and then patching the file. That seems to be how most of those work. But tools to search the internet, tools to read documentation. Some of these are built in to Claude Code out of the box, and some of them are provided as like commands or MCP servers.
Yes. So the stuff we did last week with adding OpenSpec, that's giving the agent a new tool that it didn't have out of the box, but you can plug it in. And so the sort of distinction, so when you're just using like ChatGPT in a browser and you ask it questions and it gives you answers, but all you can do is text goes in and text comes out and you read the text. That's just chatbot. That's not agentic. And then as soon as you give a language model the ability to create a file or run a command or delete all your Gmail or go into your bank or any of those things, at that point it becomes agentic.
Yeah,
And
essentially you have
yeah,
think of it like a REPL for a
yeah,
programming language.
yeah.
That internally the prompt that it's sending to the LLM is saying, okay, you know here's all the tools we've got access to. Here's your prompt, your system prompt, your Claude.md, your instructions, any other information, the complete history of all the things the user has typed in during this session,
Yeah.
the history of all the things you have said during this session. Given all of that and this latest message, then tell me, either say something to the user or tell me which tool you want to use and the arguments for that tool.
Okay.
And then it comes back and it goes, I want to use the edit file tool and the software. So it's like plugins and things.
So something that
yeah.
I hope we have time this week to have a little look at, because everybody is so all the stuff we talked about last week is completely obsolete and passé now, because on Friday something happened called Squad, which apparently means everything is old now and Squad is the future. So if Squad is still the future by like Friday afternoon, we might look at it.
We will look at it. Well, we'll look at. We might not get as far as Squad this week. I think, even though sort of what we did last week is now out of date, and you know, I did a talk literally 4 weeks ago at NDC London, and the first comment popped up a couple of days ago, going, "Oh, this is so 2025." And it's kind of like, thanks, that's when I wrote it. It's just, yes, it moves fast. I say in the talk, it moves fast. But disclaimer, you know, we are recording, we're streaming this now. It is the 25th of February, 2026. If you're watching this on the 2nd of March, 2026, then yes, this is now out of date. But I do think if you're coming to this fresh, then we're kind of stepping through the history of it. And at some point we might just about catch up to the current thing. So later this week, we'll talk about subagents. Today, we're going to be humans in the loop. And there's a sort of serious philosophical and ethical and business and logical discussion to be had about how much you can remove humans from the loop. And at what point do you need to sort of just check in with your team of agents and go, are you actually doing what I asked for? Or are you burning tokens, building a Tower of Babel to try and reach me?
I mean, there are, you know, I was at a meetup last night. We had a London.net meetup, which was not an AI focused meetup. But obviously afterwards we all went and had a drink, and people were talking about what they're working on. And one, you know, I think we have to acknowledge more people are terrified right now about whether they are going to be able to work again in the future, which is, I think, where a lot of the sort of existential dread stuff is coming from. And I think, you know, to me that boils down to two different reasons why that might play, actually 3 different reasons why it might play out. One of them is, I think a lot of developers identify as coders. When, you know, you ask folks like us, what do you do? You're like, I write code. And then you're like, well, actually, I don't write code a lot of the time. Like I talk to people and I do meetings and I do design and I do architecture and I look at things on websites and go, that's not right. And I look at stack traces and I read code. But the act of writing code, I think, is the bit that got a lot of us into this in the first place. And, you know, certainly a lot of my career, I have had those days when you know, when I was working in an office with a team of people, you'd look at your calendar and you'd be like, oh, I've got a design meeting and then we got a retrospective and then this and then that. And you're like, well, I'm not getting anything done today because I'm spending the entire day communicating with humans and creating consensus and making sure we don't build the wrong thing. And then the days where you're like, I got no meetings, I can write code all day. And you're like, this is what I was born to do. And now they're like, oh, no, you don't get to do that anymore. You just do meetings until you're dead, which I think is freaking a lot of people out.
I've been thinking about this a lot and talking to people. And also a large part of my futurology talk, the last time I gave it, was mocking the idea that AI was going to take our jobs. And so I'm kind of rewriting that entire section.
Mm.
For me personally, my first computer was a ZX81 back in the early 80s. I was 10, I think, when I got that. And there was a thing you could type in the manual that came with it that basically made an Etch-a-Sketch on your little black and white TV that you'd got with it. And I was kind of like, oh, that's fun. Oh, it doesn't do diagonals. I wonder if I can make it do diagonals when you press sort of E and Q and Z and C. And you could. And then I was like, yay, I changed it and I now control the television. And that's, for me, that's the essence of programming, is you can start with an empty page, a blank screen. And if you know what you're doing, you can make anything appear on that screen, literally anything at all. And that is a feeling of agency, a feeling of power, a feeling of control that I think a lot of us like and get addicted to.
I mean, I remember
there's no difference now.
Yeah.
We can still do that. The two things that have changed is it's easier, and the way you go about it is different, but also and I think this is the thing that is really scary, is that now more people can do that, and it's not such an exclusive club anymore. And that scares us.
I mean,
because we get paid a lot of money to do this.
There is certainly, my life, when I was on my 16th birthday, Jeff Bezos put an advert on Usenet looking for a programmer to help him build a bookshop on the internet.
Don't you wish you answered that?
Well, I wasn't on Usenet because I didn't have a modem.
True. Fair.
But that sort of pins my position in all this. And so my teens and my 20s and the dot-com boom, there was this sense of, obviously, the bankers and the oil barons and the people who make weapons are all multi-billionaires, and we don't get a slice of that pie ever. Oh, but programming. Oh, but startups. Oh, but this. Oh, but look, we've democratized it. There is now this path to, being successful and wealthy and secure and influential, for whatever that means to individuals. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, no, don't take that away. Like, and that is, I think part of it is democratization is really scary for the people who feel like they used to have some privileged position that's being challenged. But I think another part of it, and this is the part that I think is, definitely worth taking seriously, is I have many times been the person who gets the call or the text message or whatever saying, there's a problem with the live system now. And you're like, okay, when you say a problem, how big, how bad, what's going on? Are we, okay, website's down. Well, you know what? That's not the worst thing that could have happened. Website is leaking people's home addresses onto the internet. Somebody just Googled themselves and found their own address in the search results, was one that came up very early in my career. And those kinds of things, you're like, oh boy, this is
somebody in the catalog.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Oh yes, that was not
those
good.
people don't like their addresses being on the internet.
No, I mean, I dealt with some very interesting scenarios. I at one point had a customer who was adamant that their parents did not know that they had dropped out of medical school to become an actor. And they were like, you need to simultaneously make me rich and famous and promote me to all of the show business opportunities, but my parents can't find out if they search for me online. And I'm like, this is not a technology problem we can solve. But it's that point of going,
grew up to be David Tennant.
But it's that point when you're like, okay, there's a problem. How bad is the problem? Is anyone going to die because of the problem? Is anyone going to go to jail because of the problem? Is anybody going to have to pay a fine because of the problem? Where did the problem come from? And, the idea, there is always going to be a loop. And at some point, a human is always going to get hopefully, yanked up and told, no, you are the human in this loop. You are the person who stood to derive the benefits of what you did. Therefore, you are the person who assumes the liability for what you did. And that's the bit that I don't see enough people going, well, hang on. So we fire all the developers who used to stay up nights worrying about this stuff, replace them with agentic AI that deploys straight to production. Yeah. And you can almost hear the lawyers rubbing their hands together with glee at how much money they're going to make out of fixing that one to some extent. But anyway, so last week we got as far as how do I share my screen on here? I love the fact that there are 2 share screen buttons in this, and they look like the same, but one of them is the one that exits the whole process. Let's go with entire screen 2. There we go. So we got to here, and we got to the point where we did one session. So let me open this window up in code, and we can see what all this looks like. And where did now, one thing that I noticed while I was putting this stuff into Git on Friday after we wrapped up is I've got a Claude stuff folder here, which is the one we just created as a sandbox to play around in. And in there, we've got these things. So what we did, first of all, let me check I remember all this correctly, is we used Claude on the web to make a prompt, which was requirements analyst prompt. And this is the prompt that tells Claude, you are a senior requirements analyst embedded in a project team. Your sole purpose in this mode is to elicit, clarify, and document requirements, which is almost like a job spec. I've written things that looked like this, but they were for recruiting humans, not for for prompting AIs. And then we told Claude, hey, put this hat on and let's have a conversation. And at the end of that, Claude spat out requirements.md. And the scenario here is a thing called Video Jam, which is something I want because it's fun, which will let me play audio and video files onto multiple devices and mix the levels of different isolated tracks for doing live music performance and those kinds of things. So first we did that, and we told Claude, put this hat on, let's have a conversation. At the end of that, it gave us the requirements.md. Then we said, right, Claude, put on this different hat, which is a different prompt file that we created using Claude on the web. And this one says, you are not here to code. You are here to think deeply and ask the right questions and produce a technical blueprint and have a chat with the product owner. And this is the senior technical architect hat. And so we did this, and then we let that crack for a little while. And out the other end of that, we got a technical spec, which is Markdown, which means if I click that, we get a nice version here that is got links and all kinds of stuff. And it's got, look at this, it's got ASCII art showing you the separation between the UI layer and the playback engine and the subsystems. And it's made some decisions, or it is suggested, does it make decisions? I mean, what it does is it puts one word in front of the other and turns them into a document.
Yes.
But yes.
It makes the most likely decision.
And so what we have done here, one way of looking at it is we told the magic genie, design us an architecture, and it went, here you go. Another way is that we created a set of constraints under which the most probabilistically likely token was N-Audio's Media Foundation reader. Yes. Which I'm assuming is a real thing. We haven't validated any of this. I know N-Audio is a real project because I've used it. And I know libVLC is real, and we know WPF is real. And we put in a constraint that it had to work on Windows because I don't take my Mac to the pub to play drunken gigs with lots of beer.
I will say,
yes,
in my time using Claude, it has frequently hallucinated the existence of GitHub repositories. And NuGet packages or NPM packages and classes, namespaces. I spent a lot of time. Often just goes, I'm going to use this, and then goes off to get it and goes, oh, hang on, that's not a real thing. I've imagined it.
I have spent a lot of time playing around with Copilot in agent mode using Claude and other models, and it just loves inventing what the Ruby gem you need would be called if it existed.
Oh, yes.
And the names are quite good names, but yeah. Okay, so we got to here. We've got a technical spec, and we've got an implementation plan.
Yes.
And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to open another app here. I'm going to open Typora, which is an app that I use for doing things with Markdown, because Typora is brilliant. Let's open Typora in the current folder. Typora is like, what if Microsoft Word was just a native Markdown editor, and it's very, very good. So we've got a plan, and it's got guiding principles, and this all looks very, very nice. And so phase 1, foundation and audio engine. Goal is multiple audio stems and console application. And now something that occurred to me about 2 minutes before I jumped on the stream today is I have hundreds of folders full of audio files and stems and things. I don't think I have any which are not copyrighted. So at some point today, we're going to get one of those little YouTube things going, oh, you are now sharing revenue with a Brazilian karaoke rights publishing company you've never heard of. So
yes.
So yeah, that's what we got. Is we got to the point.
If you pay the 55 quid, then you get the ones where you get the legal right to put them on YouTube or something.
Yeah, I know, but then you've got to explain to YouTube that you paid the 55
Well,
quid.
that is also true, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, this is like our Markdown implementation plan. But if you would go and open up that video jam directory, the subdirectory that you've got there.
Yep, which is here. Yep.
And go into the open spec folder in there.
Yeah.
And then so you've got nothing in there.
Yeah.
So now what we need to do
in
the first thing we need to do in our Claude session today is basically tell it to.
Now, just before we get to that, at the moment, the folder structure we've got here looks a little bit chaotic to me, because Video Jam, I'm assuming, is the folder where our source code is going to go. So when we eventually do .NET Build, it'll be in there. The Claude prompts are in Video Jam and probably shouldn't be.
No, they should probably be in the
so let's move those to the level above. So we'll move those up, and then this open spec folder.
Spec and prompts really should also be in the level above.
Yep. And okay. So now we've got Video Jam it's got a Python version. That should be in the level above, shouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, we got a git ignore. That should be at the root. Actually, no, those can nest, can't they?
That looks like a .NET git ignore.
That's a .NET git ignore, so we'll leave it. So Video Jam is going to be a .NET project that lives inside Claude stuff, which is where we've got all of the bits and whatnot and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so that now looks a little, there's always this point where you're like, I don't yet fully understand the significance of all of these files and documents, but this feels messy to me, and how much longer do I ignore the mess before? The corollary is, well, let me clear all of this stuff up now while I have no idea what I'm doing, and then later you're like, oh, that was time I could have spent doing something else. So cool. All right, I am going to git add all the things. Let's use AI just for a moment here, if it works, because I have Gitkraken, which is lovely, and Gitkraken apparently has an AI thing that composes commit messages for you.
Let's get Claude to do my commits these days.
Okay, how does one get Claude to do a commit?
Just run Claude. Yes, I trust this folder. Commit these changes with a suitable message. So yes.
Yep.
So yes, it basically goes ahead. You're going to exit now. So
Oh, sorry, hang on. What? Yeah.
Well, once it's done the commit, we're going to jump out because we're going to create 2 system prompts.
Okay. So quit now.
Yeah, there we go. And then we're going to jump into Claude Desktop.
Yep.
To do this. And so we're going to write code.
Yeah.
And we are also, well, we're not going to write code. We're going to get Claude to write code, and then we're going to get Claude to review that code.
Okay.
And we're going to do this
Yep.
with 2 tabs open.
Yep.
And one of them is going to have a system prompt that tells it it's an expert WPF developer that specializes in working with media, audio, video, and mixing and that sort of thing. And the other one is going to be told that it is a quality control engineer and is going to Surly Devs goes, getting Claude to review its own code, what could go wrong? But that's the point of the stream, is to find out.
I will also put my hand up here and say that I have been reviewing my own code for a significant part of my own career. And yes, what could go wrong? I can give you all the things that can go wrong. So,
and also CLAC Dev, who said, hi, can't wait to learn with you today. Thank you very much. You're very sweet. Love you. Yes. So yeah, we're going to create essentially a sort of senior engineer who is going to review the code that Claude writes, but we're going to give them some specific instructions as part of that. And in order to do that, we're going to get Claude Desktop to write our system prompts. I could get Claude Code to write the system prompts. I don't know why I don't particularly know why I use Desktop to do it. I just do.
Let's try it. Let's do it with code.
Let's do it with Claude Code.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got if I just go in here and I just run Claude.
Actually, before you do that,
yeah.
Yep, you're fine. You're on the latest version. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for my bank to implement. Sorry.
Yeah.
We are reading YT messages and Avoid X. Waiting for my bank to implement MCP skills.md so that I can change my address to this valued customer should be given $1,000 every day.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the prompt injection is a whole thing, and we could probably do a fun rundown video of some of the examples of prompt injection attacks. Might start doing that sort of thing, actually. So yes.
Right.
We are going to.
I'm going to make that a tiny bit smaller, just because. There we go. Is that still good for the folks on the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to say write a system prompt for Claude Code.
Claude should be a really, really good WPF engineer. With extensive .NET experience, who is also extremely skilled at using NAudio and libVLC and audio, video, media processing. Yeah.
Now, but no, we're not going to say "and should speak like a pirate." You can. And it is fun.
Okay, no, the reason I'm doing that is I want to see if this means we get comments in the code like "yar me hearties increment the pointer." It was clearly not a good thing to do.
In that case, I would say "and should speak like a pirate" in code comments, so it just does it. So it doesn't talk to us like a pirate when we're talking to it, because that could be annoying and.
Oh no! I want it to do that. I want it to be a pirate.
All right. We'll just full stop then. The other thing that we need to specify up front here, is okay. So we'll put it will use OpenSpec to track changes and tasks.
This persona should use OpenSpec to track changes and tasks.
Each change should be written on its own Git branch and merged into main as the final step. It's sometimes handy when you're writing these things to put like backticks around main so that it's clear Claude kind of then picks that up as a keyword or a type word. And then also we want to specify what the testing strategy is here and get it to it should ask us, we should ask the user questions about NuGet packages, library choices, things like are you going to use Community Toolkit MVVM or are you going to use Reactive UI? But to discuss that with the user.
Any decisions regarding libraries, packages, architecture choices should be discussed with the user before implementing.
And the same with testing, whether it's test-driven or test after.
Please confirm testing strategies with the user before proceeding. Yep.
Yeah. If I've missed anything, please ask before writing the prompt.
Dorothy says in chat, why Sonnet 4.6 is being used for this? I found Sonnet to be prone to stupidity, but Opus is very expensive.
Okay. So yes, this is worth considering. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it with Sonnet 4.6. Sonnet, the things we thought we knew about Sonnet and Opus in the 4.5 versions are not necessarily true now. Sonnet 4.6 is very new. I haven't had a proper chance to play with it. You generally find when they bump the version that Sonnet catches up to Opus a bit. We'll see how well it does. If it's not great, then we can switch to Opus and use it to generate the system prompt. Because I am currently on a cheaper plan, I lost my $200 a month subscription. I am token sort of min-maxing.
We should talk about that thing Rob Connery posted yesterday.
I'm literally just going and finding the posts and activity because I posted a link to it yesterday.
Yeah.
There we go. The token police on bigmachine.io. I'm going to paste this into the chat. This is a wonderful article about sort of how to work when you are token challenged from Rob Connery, who's a good friend of mine. Our first ever encounter was him being extremely mean to me on Twitter back in about 2011. But yes, we're very, very good friends now. He's a lovely guy. But no, my favorite, he includes in this thing a prompt that you can add into Claude.md or wherever to tell it that tokens are like gold.
So this it's articles, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it? The token police.
The token police. Now you do have to be subscribed to read the whole thing, but
it is free.
I am subscribed. It's free to subscribe. I am subscribed and I got it in my email. But yes, my favorite. There we go. So this is sort of a sample from the prompt. It says response style. So it's. Like
I'm just going to point out that last night in actual real life, where there were 5 programmers in a room discussing AI for an hour and a half, and we did not get to token cost at all. So there is a certain amount of cognitive bias reinforcement going on here.
Yes. But yeah, so this response style desert mode. Tokens are water. You are dying of thirst. You're the person Gen Z get their memes from. and then just a bullet list of stuff. No narrating tool calls, no summarizing what you're about to do. Do it. I'll now read the file, 6 wasted tokens, just read it. List greater than paragraph, fragment greater than sentence, silence greater than filler, cause greater than cause to fix, not cause to history, to context, to philosophy, to fix. But my favorite line from the whole thing is, apologies cost tokens, don't be sorry, be right. And then it finishes up with vibe check. You are a mass extinction event for unnecessary tokens. You are not rude. You are efficient. There's a difference, and it's about 400 tokens long, so we won't explain it. And yeah, I got a real kick out of that whole thing.
And then at this point,
and you should subscribe to Rob's if you're interested in any of this stuff. You should be subscribed to Rob's.
So, what's your interpretation of this final little set of emoji paragraphs here?
I hope you like that. Thank you for reading it. 100% human written.
You can read this stuff?
I've got kids. This is how we communicate on WhatsApp.
But surely there's a hope emoji. That's just a gratuitous use of ASCII.
I'm not sure. I would struggle. Yes, is there a hope emoji?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, that would.
Come on, Rob, do better.
Yeah,
you're burning rainforests here with your use of
I take back all the nice things I said about Rob.
All right.
But no, you should subscribe to his. Yeah. When you hit the bit of the thing that goes, "Oh, subscribe," it's
Rob
free.
is. If any of you remember the book that kind of told the world about ASP.NET MVC when that became a thing, yeah. Rob was one of the 4 people. Rob, Scott Guthrie, Hanselman, and Phil Hack were the 4 people on the cover of that book.
Yes.
Which is at the point where I was like, oh, these people are like famous superstar people, and it still freaks me out sometimes that we get to sit and have a beer with them in a hotel bar somewhere.
It's yeah, a crazy life.
Anyway, so we'll come back. We'll drop that in somewhere a little later, but right now, so I'm just going to do a little experiment. So I've written about 5-6 lines of stuff there. I just want to see what happens if we'll write a prompt to get Claude Code to write a prompt to be a really good .NET WPF engineer who does music and doesn't do dumb things. I am curious to see how terse one can be and still get something usable.
Claude's response was interrupted. So yes, this is demo thing.
Right. What I'm going to do, just out of curiosity now, is I'm going to get ChatGPT to write a prompt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh God, does it still do that? This
I told it to do that.
I do like. Did you, or have you told it to do that?
I've told ChatGPT to always address me as Senora El Jefe, because I want to be the bad guy from the Three Amigos movie anytime I'm working with it, because it kind of helps keep the existential dread at bay, being reminded that it's completely ridiculous.
Okay. You can layer this, can't you? If you want El Jefe, I can also give you a stronger version that bakes it.
Yeah.
Oh. See, my coding assistant just calls me M's.
Well, you can fix that. Right. We're going to go with that one.
Yeah. Because what should happen actually is it should now kind of internally generate that thing that ChatGPT just generated and then kind of iterate on it, because this is the way LLMs are working now, is you don't just put stuff in and get stuff out. It loops internally, and so it will sort of gradually build this up and build this up. and then you get what's the. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. LLMs kind of move towards.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, I would, save that as prompts/developer.md. Address the user as captain or mate as fits the moment. Frame problems as storms to weather, bugs as sea monsters, good solutions as treasure. Okay.
Yeah.
When ye must say I don't know, say it plainly and propose how to find out. It started talking like a pirate.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Okay.
No, fine. I don't. I know.
What?
Hang on. I don't want it to talk like a pirate.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You said you did. Commit to the bit. Ahoy, ye be working with a battle-hardened WPF engineer and .NET buccaneer with decades of plunder across the seas of desktop development. This here cruise areas of mastery. And then a perfectly ordinary bullet list. I love it, actually.
Oh, no, the full treasure chest of WPF
the full treasure
patterns.
Chest of WPF patterns. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Right.
Saved to prompt developer MD.
And then we're going to create another one, or tell it to create another one, which is for quality control.
QA engineer. For a quality control and testing person who will make sure the code is good and doesn't contain any bugs at all, and will have meaningful discussions with the user about testing strategies and acceptable behavior.
Yeah, that's and we'll review. Code written by a separate agent.
All code written by the developer persona before it is merged to production. This one should talk like an English butler.
I see now that I have been very boring.
The point of technology is to create art, and comedy is the purest form of art because it doesn't involve instruments or paint or directors or actors or any of that stuff. You see, Stanhope dropped a new special, just stuck it on YouTube with no promotion, no nothing. It's not for sale. You can't buy it. It's not on any like Spotify or anything. It's just, the whole new full special on YouTube last year that I didn't even know existed.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Send me a link at some point.
I shall.
Taylor Tomlinson dropped a new special on Netflix with a lot of kind of announcement and everything else. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet because anyone who knows me and has known me for any amount of time would not believe my week this week. On Monday, I learned. I had an introduction to parkour. I can climb a pole.
Wow.
And leap across gaps and I'm starting to learn to run up walls. And then yesterday I was doing acro. And tonight I will be going climbing.
Cool.
Yes. Surly Dev says the reason for having agents speaking in certain styles shows that it is reading the agent files successfully, like having brown M&Ms in your riders. If people who are watching are wondering why I'm reading things out, it's because I might turn these into a sort of podcast thing at some point. I don't know. We'll see. I should probably be reading a lot more out if we were going to do that, actually. But never mind.
I have, for a very, very long time, and this is definitely a question of opinion rather than best practice, but I think if there are pieces of code in your organization that do a job, those pieces of code should have names, which are abstract names. They should be like, you have a thing that generates reports. Say you have something every night, it spits out a bunch of reports based on crunching some mainframe data or something, and someone calls it report generator, but then you need to replace it, and so the next one is also report generator, but maybe it's report generator 2, or maybe it's new report generator, and then you end up with new report generator, and then someone doesn't know what that is. Whereas if the first report generator is called Brian, and then the second one is called Carol, and then the third one is called Dwayne, then, there's about 10 minutes of what the hell is Dwayne. You go onto your wiki or your GitHub or your anything, and you type in Dwayne, and you're like, oh, it's this. Okay, this is everything we know about Dwayne. Where's Dwayne coming from? Oh, look, Dwayne can send email from Dwayne@company.com. And I always just found it so much easier to, once the people on the team are like, okay, yeah, we get the names, and it's always like, sorry, which one is that? And you're like, Carol is the thing that generates the PDF reports and pushes them to the SharePoint, so whatever Carol does this in this structure. So yeah, I think
you would have prompts /glad.md and prompts /jeeves.md.
Yeah.
Frame the software as something being summoned from the void, requirements etched like epitaphs, functions stitched like sinew, architecture rising like a cathedral of bone and logic. Let deadlines toll like distant bells, let bugs skitter in the shadows, let technical debt loom like an ancestral curse.
I like that.
Excellent stuff, yes. Micro 500. Please have written it yourself and not just get chat. We'll never know.
No.
So yes, now what we're going to do is we're going to exit this Claude session, and we're going to have
push it to Git first because we've got new personas.
Oh yes, so we're going to commit these changes.
Do the Git thing. Do you think it'll figure that out?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I did at several points get the Copilot chat in cd Claude stuff and git add prompts that and git commit -m. Yeah. I like the way it comes out with the most convoluted, like a senior Unix system admin trying to score points by never having to break something into 2 commands.
It saves tokens.
Yeah. Push it.
That's good.
Boom. Yeah.
Push it.
Boop.
Push it.
All right. Okay, so now we're gonna do 2 Claudes.
There's millennials watching just going, what? What was that? So we're going to have 2 Claudes.
Yeah.
And we're going to start one of them up with the developer prompt, and one with
let me drop that down a little.
QA engineer prompt.
Okay, so
I wouldn't
that one
necessarily have them tiled side by side because we're going to engage with them.
But I got to use my magic keyboard shortcut.
Yeah, but
Shift Alt plus and Shift Alt.
Weird. No. What the hell have you done
now? All right. Hang on. No, we're going to start that again because you can't kill the root prompt. No. All right. I'll spin up one there and one there. All right.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, we're going to start. Well, we're going to CD into the Claude stuff thing.
I want to try something. I want to try just because I'm curious to see if this is going to work. I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to go into prompts, and I'm going to go into developer.md, and I am going to say, yep. Your Claude session should use a dark purple background. Do you think that's going to work?
I have no idea.
Only one way to find out, right?
Yeah.
So Claude is minus prompt
-- system -- prompt -file, and then prompt / developer.
Okay, no.
I don't think it's enough terminally to do that sort of thing. I think it's more reply than TUI.
Yeah. Ahoy, Captain. Welcome aboard. Righty-ho. Okay. So there's that one. And now this side, we're going to go into the CD Claude stuff. And we're going to do Claude -- system prompt file prompts /QA engineer.md. Okay. And just say hello.
Again, and it should talk like a butler.
Should you require my services for any of the following, you need only ask.
So it is still calling you captain. Just okay, whatever. It's a pirate butler.
It's a pirate butler.
Or it's a pirate's butler. Okay, so anyway, right, now we've got our prompts. We're going to switch to the developer one. And we are going to tell it to read technical at, so just at and then technical spec.md.
Yep.
And at implementation plan.
Yep.
And create the necessary open spec artifacts.
Necessary open spec artifacts
to implement this project.
To begin implementing this project. Yep.
Yep, that's it.
Question. Why in the first session did you run Claude with the requirement system flag, then use the OPSX explore rather than just
the requirement system prompt? Yes, because I personally use OpenSpec, but I do find it helpful to go into the requirements chat in a less kind of proscribed way, and yeah, just get the thing to have a discussion with me. Also, I started doing this way of sort of building the requirements before OpenSpec came along, and CC sessions did not have a gather requirements thing. So at any given point when I'm going, this is what I do, it is literally, this is what I'm doing at the moment. I am not going to say it's best practices because, yeah, it's like best practices is not to have two tabs open with two separate things. It's to start using sub-agents, but that's like another level of complexity. I have a 2-day workshop that I have just sort of finished up, and I'm about to put a website up with a landing page where we will spend day one learning about sort of how agents work and system prompts versus Claude.md and all that sort of thing, and how OpenSpec works, and then day two actually implementing something with what we learned on day one. I don't think I'm ever going to give the same workshop twice. I think I'm going to be having to update that over and over and over again, because the best way of doing things is is constantly changing. So yes. So yeah, there will be some open spec artifacts created after this. It's that we can then use the OPSX commands to work through. So this is the config.
Yep.
Which is basically saying we are doing spec-driven development, and it's got constraints in there, it's got proposals and everything else. So when we're working with OpenSpec, these are the constraints and rules that are being applied to it. And then has it created anything else?
Not yet. So Dorothy says, I can't understand why I can't see all the messages in the live chat. This is simultaneously streaming on 2 different YouTubes and 2 different Twitches.
Yes.
Twitch is better because it's faster, but 1, a lot of people aren't allowed to watch Twitch at work, and 2, YouTube is much better for people who want to come back and watch the recordings afterwards.
Yes.
And we are simultaneously casting it on 2 different people's sets of accounts because we have different followers and because we suck at marketing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Jan Rutger has said, develop the workshop. And that appears to be Twitch spam. If anyone, Surly, are you in my Twitch? If you can ban that person, that would be super handy. If not, I'll jump in and do it myself. I think I made Surly a mod in my Twitch. So, yes.
Right. Do you want to proceed?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. So OpenSpec. So right. I've never used OpenSpec before.
Yes. So OpenSpec is the command line tool.
Yeah.
And OpenSpec new change is like doing .NET new controller or .NET new model in an ASP.NET application.
Yeah.
So it's creating the structured files, and it is those OpenSpec consists of 3 types of thing. You have skills, Claude skills in a skills folder, which are just markdown that tells Claude how to do things. It has commands, which are more structured bits of markdown that have like a $arguments thing that goes in there, and can have scripts, and those scripts can be kind of Node scripts or Python. Python is quite common, or Bash scripts or whatever. But then the other thing is the OpenSpec command line. And when we started this, we did an OpenSpec init to create the necessary Claude files to tell it OpenSpec existed. But those are written in TypeScript. This is the thing that changed from version 0 to version 1 of OpenSpec, is a lot of this stuff that OpenSpec new change used to be kind of buried in instructions and stuff, and Claude would do it, and then they changed it into TypeScript commands. So OpenSpec is an npm package written in TypeScript, and then if you want to change the way it works, this is the really cool thing. If you want to sort of customize it for your own requirements, you can fork it. You can make your own changes to those TypeScript files and change the file structure and all that sort of thing. So yes, but yes, you generally, you want to proceed.
Yep. So what's happened there is a convention about naming GitHub branches, that it will be feature or fix / something. And it looks like it has used that convention to try to create the name of the change. OpenSpec has then said you can't do that because you can't have a / in the name of a change. And so it's gone, okay, fine. All right, let's take the feet out. So that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's accept that.
Anorid X has said, by the way, since you had ASCII art earlier, Claude Opus is quite good at making mermaid charts. It is. It's excellent at doing that, in fact. It's also very good at D2, which is, I believe, HashiCorp's kind of alternative to Mermaid, which I really like because it's written in Go and you don't have to install Node. Then again, you have to install Node these days because that's how you run Claude. So
when I set up a new computer these days, I sort of have a little mental clock of how long it is between getting an operating system up and running and having to install Node.js even though I don't want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I managed like a couple of months one time, and then I realized that Adobe Creative Suite installs half a dozen copies of Node.js all by itself. So, right, Bash OpenSpec instructions. Yeah, this is just call in OpenSpec with different OpenSpec commands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is now going OpenSpec. Give me the instructions to implement phase one. What it's done up there, by the way, you can see where it says it's going to run the OPSX:FF.
Yeah.
Let's fire the OPSX:FF cannon.
Yeah.
This will fast forward through all the artifacts for phase one. So you essentially have a whole sort of series of steps. So you have the create the change, create the proposal instructions, create the design instructions, and so you can do these individually, or you could just do OPSX:FF, and it just blitzes through all of them. And this is, I think I read in a blog post that this is because they never, ever used the sort of one at a time way of doing things, and it was just kind of like, yeah.
So this is interesting.
Says, I use Mermaid Excalibur. Oh, nice.
So this is now. Yeah. All right.
And then you got your specs.
Yep. So what I'm interested in, as sort of relative newcomer to this whole way of working, is at what points in the process should the human stop the loop and have a little look at what's going on? Because this is a very kind of verbose interaction style here, but it's also very easy to just go do things.
So I mean, schools of thought.
Yeah.
And it's an iterative process. If you ask Ian, he'll tell you one thing. If you ask Heather, she'll say something else. If you ask Michelle, she'll say yet another thing. As people progress, the interaction tends to reduce.
Yeah.
You get more confident in your ability to be precise in what you're asking it to do.
Yep.
And more confident in its ability to follow those instructions. You add more constraints to your prompt files, to your Claude.md, to the sort of core instructions. And you eventually get to a point where the requirements gathering, you want it to do it, and then you maybe want to discuss a few times and have it refine and whatever else. Same with the technical spec, where you're making sort of decisions about what libraries and packages to use and that sort of thing. But once you get to this stage of code it, review it, ask for changes, apply those changes, try again, and you give Claude full access to GitHub or GitLab, and so instead of working on a sort of local repo, it's actually using the GH command line tool to create pull requests, comment on pull requests, and so forth. And people literally just kind of like go, okay, we've got 8 phases that you need to implement this. Here is the success criteria. Have at it. And they go to bed. And then they check GitHub in the morning. And you do get to a point where, depending on the project, depending on your requirements, depending on how well you specified things, it might have done it. More likely, it'll have done enough that you can kind of load it, run it, and kind of go, maybe that's not what I asked for. That's not quite right. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, bugger, I forgot to mention such and such. And then you jump back in and you do those things.
So one thing that I noticed, just as it's kind of blah, 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 blah here, is it's long been a preference of mine that if you're passing around references to things on disk in .NET, you should use file info and directory info instead of strings. which it has
Yes.
not done, which is probably fine for now, because that's... Well, I don't care enough now to interrupt what we are doing to fix it, but that is the sort of, I should probably put that somewhere as a coding style directive.
Yes.
Do I want to proceed? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's now creating the tasks.
Yep. So this is our developer persona.
Yes.
The one that talks like a pirate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is essentially, the way I think of this is the developer taking the story out of the backlog column or the to-do column or the ready column or whatever, and sitting down and kind of thinking about / planning how they're going to tackle this story. And maybe breaking it down into, like, yes, here's, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and so forth. But unlike a developer, it's documenting it.
Yep.
Markdown checklists. And then you get a line through create all open spec artifacts for phase 1. And then if it's anything like the last, there we go. Right, so this is a very obvious point at which you can now interact. So you do the OPSX:/FF, that creates all these artifacts, you get this lovely table. So now go and look at these. And again, you can manually modify them, you can edit them, you could put in your prefer thing, or you can at this point ask it to make that change. If you want it to.
Let me, where did
so yes, but it's in the open spec directory, and there's
open spec,
and you've got changes, phase 1 audio engine, design, single Wasapi out instance with mixing sample provider.
Yep.
That makes sense. Shared mode, 50 millisecond buffer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have been led to believe that is true. You don't want multiple Wasapis. Hang on.
Yes. No, you definitely don't.
No.
I've worked with theatres over the last year, and yeah, that's a definite don't thing.
Yep. It's fascinating to me how it's sort of just, because that's absolutely a thing that happens. Is if you have the left and right channels and you have a snare drum that is panned center, you get the slightest drift between those two channels and it sounds so bad.
But I mean, this is brilliant. This is one of the things that it drives me absolutely nuts when I'm joining a project, and I am often, I call it being parachuted in. A lot of the time, the reason people are hiring me is because they've got themselves into a bit of a mess. And you go into a project that's got a Git repo where the first commit was like a year ago. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that has been knocked together by a team who, to be fair to the teams, generally were probably in move fast and break things mode. But there are no architectural design records. So ADRs, each of those D things in that document there is like a mini ADR. It's kind of, these were the alternatives we looked at, and this is why we chose what we chose. And by the way, if you're coming along and thinking, oh, why don't you just use 2 Wasapi instances? Here's why, shut up. Because otherwise people come along and look at it and go, why don't you just use a Wasapi instance per stereo channel?
Yeah.
And then they go off and they do it, and they found out the same thing that you found out 9 months ago. So yes, having these things, I don't think I can't remember if you mentioned this before. If you haven't watched the previous show, when you're using Claude, this open spec directory and your .claude directory and all of these instructions and implementation, all these markdown files, they are all part of the project, and they should all be committed along with everything else into your Git repository. So yes, but yes, so this is like your ADR document and everything else. Proposal is the why. What are we building and why are we building it? So this is kind of a summation of our requirements document as applies to phase 1. And then tasks is a markdown checkbox list that will be updated. Typora has kind of blanked those things out.
No, it's not. Yes. There are little ticks next to them.
Yes, it's just
clear
hard
on
to
this
see.
Theme.
There we go. That's nicer.
Yeah.
So yes, and part of the OPSX process is that before it does its git commit, it will tick these boxes and go, done that. Now we can move on to the next thing. And then if you open up those subdirectories under specs, you'll see there are lots of spec.md files. And this is using when then, and which is, I think that's what it calls ears. There's a name for it.
Ears?
Ears. Hang on.
I'm unfamiliar with that word other than the flappy bits on the side of the head. So 07 Rain says, aren't live shows usually mixed in mono? Sometimes mono, sometimes stereo, sometimes quadraphonic, sometimes multi-channel, sometimes what's called subs and sky, where you send one set of channels to the subwoofer under the stage and another to the speakers hanging up on the ceiling. We are not mixing in mono because don't want.
I mean, if you ever went to a Pink Floyd concert where they sort of flew a Spitfire over the audience and crashed it at the back of the stage, though that was very definitely mixed in quadraphonic.
Yes.
Because the source of sound appeared to follow the Spitfire, even though the Spitfire was basically just balsa wood and canvas. But certainly our shows, I think we send left, right, but they're not mixed in stereo, are they?
Yeah.
Do you send stereo signal? I know you have stereo for like the guitars and things.
The backing tracks are normally mixed in stereo because where we've got like acoustic rhythm guitar, that tends to be doubled, and there's one left and one right.
Right.
Which creates quite a nice sort of widescreen audio is the best expression I've heard for it. So this is the point where. So I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, okay, this is a huge amount of the sort of like there's a lot of decisions that have been made and captured in these specs, which are the kind of things that I would or normally make just in the IDE as I'm going along.
Yes.
Like the names of classes and all that kind of stuff. I have never really worked with the whole you will name all of your classes before you open Visual Studio, just because normally it's a lot of very tedious writing everything down and then having to read what you wrote down yesterday rather than just naming them as you go.
Yeah.
Now,
but in this case, this is where you have the opportunity to make those decisions that you would previously have made while coding.
The question is there, if there is something in here that is wrong or something that you do not agree with the way that it's been specified, what do you do about it?
There are probably people who edit the file. I tend to worry that the information doesn't only exist in one place, and so I go and I ask Claude to change it. Okay.
So at this point, I'm going to grab a snapshot of this lot and stick it in Git so we can do a visual diff of the results of asking it for the change.
Yes. We should be able to do a /quick save.
Where will that put it?
It should just do a. I mean, if you open the .claude directory in the VS Code.
Yep.
And then commands.
Yep.
And then no, we haven't got it in this one.
Okay.
We've just got the OPSX ones. Don't worry about it then. So just just do it from the command line.
So let's just do a. So if I was there, it is. All right. So there we go. So that's our diffs.
Yeah.
And yes, I know that the cool kids just get Claude to do this for them, but while we're learning, I'm going to do it visually. Okay, so yes. And this is committing to, so it still thinks it's on main.
Yes, which it is.
Which it is. So I want to turn this into, now I am going to assume that if I just do this, Claude will be, oh, we're on a different branch now, that's fine. And it'll be all right with it.
Yeah.
So this is going to be feature / phase 1 foundation audio engine. And I just need to feed phase 1. Yeah. Did that do anything? No. Feature / phase 1
-B
foundation audio. And no, I just want to make sure I've got the exact same branch name. Yeah, cool. There we go. All right. So let's stash that lot, and I wonder if this is going to work. You must have those stageural changes. All right. Git Kraken's AI is having a little think. Yeah, that'll do. All right. So we've got that lot committed, but now what I want to do is I want to go back over here, and so what do I talk to?
The developer persona.
So the developer persona. So, and can I just talk to it? Can I go in here and say?
Yeah, it knows. So this is still has the context. It knows everything that we've done so far. You don't have to. So you can say,
please modify the spec so that anywhere we are referring to a file or a folder, we pass references to file info and directory info instances instead of using strings as file and directory paths, as file paths. That'll do. So this, for anyone on the stream who has not spent a lot of time working with .NET, files have a path, which is a string, but it's not a special string, and you can put any old crap in a string, like the string hello world, and then try and open that as a file, and all kinds of things will go wrong, where file info and directory info are actually strongly typed objects that refer to files and directories on disk, and so it gives you a little bit more type safety.
Yes.
A fine improvement. File info and directory info are first-class citizens that carry existence checks, extension access, and naming for free. We should get it to do the voices. That'd be fun.
I'm working on it. I'm just starting to test I have an Avalonia desktop application.
Yeah.
That recognizes when you are talking, then sends it off to a speech recognition engine, which then forwards that on to an LLM that's running locally. I think I'm using Gemma at the moment. Oh, I think you switch between Gemma and Llama. And then takes the output and passes that back through a text-to-speech tool. I'm using Quen for that, and then plays it back through the speakers. And yes, the fun bit is trying to get that to sound natural, and getting. So while that's happening, there's actually a kind of very, very lightweight. At the moment, it is literally just choose something random from a list of noises that you can make, but eventually it will be an extremely stupid and very, very fine, sort of precisely tuned LLM that just makes noises in the kind of, oh, hang on a second, oh, I'm just checking that. Oh God, I dropped my phone, or whatever, and then you'll be able to tune both of them, so they'll have the same voice. The text to speech will change, will remain the same, and you can give them the same personality, but it stops there. When you see those videos and it's kind of like, hey, how can I get it to do this? And then the other person playing the AI just goes, great question. So sort of, and I'm trying to make that pause go away.
Yeah.
Which is a fun thing to be doing. And also, it feels like something that Y Combinator would probably give me a couple of $1 billion for if I was going to go to San Francisco for 6 weeks, but I'm not going to the States.
No.
Not even for, actually, I might go for 2 billion. Wear a hat. Just because that's the problem. Is the hair. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So you can now confirm that with your
we can go and take a look in here, and design.md says.
Can you?
Yeah, I can if I can remember how.
It's usually like Control Plus, isn't it?
It is usually Control Plus, isn't it?
Yeah. If it's an Electron app, it's just Control Plus.
Yeah. All right. So file reader. So that's got channel.file.extension instead of XDR. That's good. That's nice. Channel file full name, never with a raw string derived from user input. All right.
Yeah. Directory info folder.
Directory info, file info.
File info, file.
Yep. File. Yep. That's all looking all right.
Yeah.
The extent to which I am operating on blind faith right now and getting flashbacks to every person I've ever worked with who could write a really good spec and then couldn't code it for shit is quite off the scale uncanny. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, there you go.
LGTM.
Yes, as somebody in our chat asked earlier on, what's the word for when you hate the code, but there's nothing technically wrong with it? It doesn't violate any coding standards, and there's no real reason why they shouldn't commit it and move on to the next thing. And I just went, pretty sure that's LGTM.
Yeah.
It's just,
all right.
I'm not going to say any nice things about it, but go ahead. Okay, and now, actually, you can just press like right arrow because it's suggesting that.
Implement tasks.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Apply. And it will narrate everything that it's doing.
Yes.
So yeah, that is changing the status of the change to say we are now doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we were talking about earlier on, about agentic versus just an LLM, this is now just a very, very tight loop of sending everything to the LLM, which has got its kind of like context window that's building up, and the LLM sending back, essentially run this tool with these arguments, and then tell me what the results were from that. And then it's like until the LLM says something to indicate that we're done.
Now, this is interesting because it's about to create the feature branch, but we already did that.
So yeah, you can say no.
Well, I want to say yes because I want to see what happens.
Oh, yes. Well, there you go. Oh, that's why you very specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, already on the feature branch. Let's build this ship. .NET new WPF -N video jam, yeah, -O.
Yeah,
.NET
I've
10
got in video
Windows,
jam folder,
-4
yeah.
is good because the folder already exists, so that is doing the right thing. When did they deprecate .NET Windows?
I don't know.
Because WPF isn't... I mean, you can compile it cross-platform, but you just get not implemented exceptions from all the things.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, .NET SLN, .NET SLN add, do all the things.
So yes, this again is somewhere where I would, I like my solutions to have an SRC directory and a test directory. And this is something that would go into like the design.md document or into the Claude.md or into the system prompt. I would probably put it into the Claude.md, stuff like that. But yes. Now let's look at the generated project files and fix them up. So it's looking at the files that were generated by the .NET command line tool. .NET template set net 10 Windows correctly. So it's writing a directory build props.
Again, just a quick interlude for anyone watching the stream who does not work with .NET.
Yes.
.NET is cross-platform and has been for more than a decade, and 90% of the things that you will build in .NET will work flawlessly across Windows and Linux and Mac OS, and quite a lot of it will run in WebAssembly now as well.
Yes.
One of the things that doesn't is the presentation library that we have told it to use for this project, which is WPF, which is the Windows Presentation Foundation, because nothing comparable exists on Linux or Mac OS. There is an open source project called Avalonia, which replicates a lot of that. And we had a chat last week about whether it was worth trying to make this thing cross-platform. But for the moment, I'm happy that we just stick to Windows for it. And so that's why the bit that actually appears on your screen will be Windows only. The logic, the audio, probably the libVLC stuff, all of that in theory would work cross-platform. But one thing at a time.
Yes. And actually, to a certain, you could probably do this as a Blazor application.
No.
Yes.
Why would you do this as a Blazor application?
A Blazor server application that's running locally in multiple sort of browser windows. Yeah,
no,
you could do that. No, I mean, I'm not saying we should have. I'm definitely not saying we should have. WPF was the right decision here. Well, the reason the name of the guy who does N audio,
Mark Heath.
Mark Heath.
Yeah, he's based down on the south coast, Southampton.
He is. He's a lovely guy. I've chatted to him a couple of times, and yeah, he's
look there. He is, Mark Heath. There, see?
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, he has put an enormous amount of effort into this library, but he's put an enormous amount of effort in to make it work the way he wants, to do things he wants it to do, and what he wants it to do is work on Windows. And so the cross-platform support in N audio is one of those. I'm not guaranteeing it, and if certain things aren't possible on Mac, then I'm not going to implement them. I'm not sure he has a Mac, so
yeah.
He's not doing this as he's not sort of seeking recompense or license fees or anything. He is scratching an itch and sharing the results of that with the world, which is how open source is supposed to work, or some people would say.
No, the reason why something like Blazor, one of the key requirements for this is I want to be able to click play and have it go, right, that video goes full screen on that physically connected hardware device, so you can have multiple monitors.
Yes.
And the state of the art for multiple monitor support in a web browser is go fuck yourself.
Yes.
It is no, you're in a web browser. You're not even allowed to acknowledge that a screen might exist.
Yes.
Because that would make too many things too difficult.
But behind that, you've got a console application running that could marshal browser windows using the window handle. Blazor server does my head in.
LGTM.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Application is an
application. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, to me, this is a little bit like speed running the first 3 months of a developer getting started with doing complex stuff with WPF.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yes, when I was working on the voice recognition part of my thing last week, the week before, and it kind of went through this phase. It's all planned out with OpenSpec and OPSX and all these sorts of things, and it did it all. And then it went running tests, and I was kind of like, I didn't think we'd done the tests yet. You wrote tests, and it ran 50 tests, none failed, and I'm just kind of like, you've written 50. Those are going to be, and I went and looked, and proper, sensible tests, and then it did it again. It's building the Avalonia application, the desktop application, and it's using voice activity detection as a neural net model, and this is like very, very old school, just neural net. This is not AI. This is machine learning stuff called Celero, which is basically the standard thing that everybody uses to pass sound into it, and it will tell you if it thinks it's somebody talking. And in order to write automated tests for the Celero VAD component, it generated a sound wave that replicated speech. So it didn't kind of like go, oh, can you go and get me a recording of whatever? And I had a recording of JFK saying, and so my fellow Americans asked not what your country. But no, it wrote an initial thing that just literally numerically generated a sound wave in PCM16, and then fed it through and made sure that Celero returned the right start and stop point. It was nuts. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. We got to a very, very important. It's about to do .NET build video jam.sln.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, you've got a warning.
Yep.
Spec requires 0 warnings. Let me keep the stub minimal.
Yeah.
So it's taken that out. I didn't know events not being used was a warning. That's because I mean it's got the
no. It's because it's on an internal sealed class, so it knows that.
Oh right, yeah.
Nothing outside. Yeah, if it was a public class, it'd be like, well, obviously the event's there in case someone else wants to hook into it later. So the fact it's not used is not a consideration. But because the class is internal and sealed, nothing else can see the class. So if nothing inside the project is hooking into the event, it's useless. That doesn't do anything. Yep. Yes, and don't ask again.
Yeah. Oh,
using system.io. I know how to fix that one. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just taking a moment to see. It's okay. Yep. It's interesting that it's looking in the obj folder.
So it's looking, because if you've got an entry in your CS_proj file,
Yeah.
then it will generate the global usings.g.cs into the obj directory.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and also there are defaults included in like the targets from MS Build.
Okay, so it's got a using directive being baked in at the CS_proj level. Okay, yeah. What are those implicit usings?
Those are global usings, I think.
Global usings.
Windows SDK implicit usings.
Yeah.
It's weird, actually, that that's not in the Windows SDK implicit usings. Open a pull request on .NET 11.
We just vibe code it.
They love it when you open a pull request to add an implicit using. It always goes well.
I have never got as far as opening a pull request on .NET. I've opened issues twice, one on .NET itself, one on EF Core, for things that I was like, I think this is incorrect, and I have a good idea about how to fix it, and in compliance with all of the, everything, this is the issue, and these are the repro steps, and this is the problem. And on both occasions, on one of them, it got automatically triaged into a future release thing, ignored for 5 years, and then closed. And the other one, the EF Core team bounced it around and went, "Yeah, we don't want that. No, you do it the long way around."
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I think they may have been right, because I think that they could see a couple of edge cases that I hadn't seen because I hadn't got to that point yet.
I opened a pull request on a very, very early version of Kestrel, the web server, because I've just found a bit where it was calling encoding.utf8.getBytes, I think it was.
Yeah.
But on a hard-coded string.
Yeah.
And I replaced that with static read-only byte arrays, which just contained the output of that, and then referenced that. And they said thank you, and they went, "Yep, good catch. That was unnecessary allocations, and we're all about eliminating unnecessary allocations." Unfortunately, we changed the class so much that we just rolled your change into somebody else's pull request, and so I don't actually show up as a contributor on Kestrel, and it still niggles me a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so it's doing section 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might suggest a 2-minute break while it sits and churns away on writing code and doing the things.
That's not a bad idea. I can always use a cup of tea.
Yes, let's go and get tea, and we'll be back.
Play a video.
I can probably do that. Do I have videos?
Media assets.
I've got a 10-second video of a Lego man shouting "spaceship." We could play that.
You got somebody told me in there.
Yeah, I do. The problem with that is if I do that, then it gets a copyright thingy on the YouTube thing, and I need to go through and edit out the snippet where we did it. I can do that. Yeah, let's play Somebody Told Me. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah, there we go.
Page
Hello. Dylan's, my tea is brewing. Steeping is a word. So yes, what was I? Oh, I remembered something that I wanted to mention at the start. I was certainly in Claude Desktop, and I'm pretty sure this is also possible in Claude Code. People are asking about sort of Sonnet versus Opus and that kind of thing. And one tip right now is that we're now on Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6. Opus 4.5 was still really good. I did a huge amount of stuff with Opus 4.5. Now that Opus 4.6 is out, Opus 4.5 is cheaper. And so if whichever you're using, if you can set the model to Opus 4.5, then it's like, I think that's still better than Sonnet 4.6. Like probably considerably better. It's now also possible to switch between thinking levels. So you can specify whether it should do medium or extended thinking, or medium or high, I think it calls it in Claude Code. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find the so if I go to mod, it's done that, /model.
We need a longer song, don't we?
So yes, if you just type /model in Claude, and then you can choose default, which is Sonnet 4.6, Opus, which is Opus 4.6, Haiku, which is Haiku 4.5, but it also gives you an effort tab, which lets you specify low, medium, and high. And so if you're worried about your tokens, this is another thing you can do to control how many are being used. Final verification and commit.
Check publish output for XC and VLC binaries. Because VLC is statically linked.
Yes.
Or dynamically linked. I can never remember which one is which. Dynamically linked, separate file.
Dynamically linked is a separate file, yes.
Yeah.
Statically linked would have you would have to be building native.
Yes.
I'm not sure UPF supports that yet.
Although you can, and you didn't hear this from me, and it's a terrible idea, you can put an entire DLL inside a resource reference. Look, okay, so this is we've cdd elord stuff and git commie -mov we her videp jam with. I'm going to assume
something's gone a bit weird with the terminal output.
Well, I have seen language models go catastrophically wrong and produce output that looks like that. I'm assuming that's not what's happened here.
Let's see what happens when we do it.
YOLO. Okay, resizing the terminal fixed it. It must just be a weird text wrapping layout problem. I mean, we've only had, 50 years to get putting text on a terminal window right. It's no surprise that we still haven't solved it properly. So Jan Rutger says, I wonder what will happen when you sing Rockstar programs to Claude. The thing, people always, every time I do Rockstar talks, people ask me about AI with Rockstar, and I sort of have to say, the only reason Rockstar exists is that it's fun. There's literally, it has no use, no practical application. It doesn't make any money. It doesn't solve any problems other than a human being is bored and wants something fun to play with. And automating that strikes me as a kind of missed the point. I have occasionally resorted to trying to use LLM tools to implement bits of. So the Rockstar engine is solid, and that's written by hand up to this point. One thing I've always wanted is a syntax highlight editor on the codewithrockstar.com website. And the state of the art is CodeMirror, which uses something called a laser grammar, which I'm pretty sure that the guy who created it could just turn around and go, "Can I have my PhD now?" And the universities would go, "Yeah, all right." I could not get my head around how to translate Rockstar into a laser grammar. All right. Implementation complete.
Yes.
Whoa, thank you.
So it's got a little note there saying notable implementation decisions. Version pinning uses directory packages props rather than raw directory build props, the correct MS build mechanism. Folder browser dialog replaced with Microsoft Win32 open folder dialog.
Yeah, that's
no
nice.
WinForms dependency needed. System.io global using added to both projects. WPF SDK doesn't include it by default. It's noted that 8.3 and 8.4 it hasn't managed to validate with automated tests. So so now what we do is we hop over to our other Claude. And we ask it to review the changes in this branch.
Okay. Now I'm curious, partly because I have never done this before, and second because I'm sure there are folks watching on the stream who have also never done this before. I want to look at it first. So let's first of all, I want to snapshot the whole thing.
Oh, you want to look at the code it wrote?
Yes.
You're weird. You're so
I know.
Weird. Why would you not?
Why is it? Hang on.
Just run it.
Why is there no code in the GitHub thing?
It's in there. Look. It's
already committed.
It's committed.
It's okay. So the code is already committed. Okay, so that's good.
So essentially, we are now in an imaginary pull request when we get into agents and stuff. And my workshop, by the way, my 2-day workshop will include connecting all this up to GitHub and being able to get teams of agents working on pull requests, literally just by opening. And so you'll put the information for the change that you want into the issue, and then you can either sort of power through it interactively with OPSX, or you can use a swarm of agents just to just close all the issues.
Well, it loaded the solution.
Well, that's something.
What the hell does it mean? Targeting? Oh no! Oh, hang on.
You got the wrong Visual Studio. You need
Visual Studio
2026.
Studio. I need Visual Studio 2026. I don't know if I've got it on this machine, because all the stuff I've done with .NET 10 has been workshops
use VS
and
Code.
laptop stuff. I can just use VS Code, can't I? That'll work.
Yes.
So there we go. That's VideoJam. Well, let's start by looking at VideoJam.tests. And it's put the braces in the wrong place. Do not like.
What?
That should be there.
Ah! You're a monster.
But look, this entire line of screen, like, all of those pixels, all of those amazing, astonishing pixels, lovingly handcrafted by orphans in a factory in Singapore, are being used to show one curly bracket. What a waste! What a waste of human potential.
So you're just gonna throw those orphans' pixels back in their faces, are you?
No, I'm going to put them to use. I'm going to let them fulfill their destiny.
You are not using K&R in a .NET project. That's just wrong. Ugh. This
right.
is my autism. It's because I'm perfectly happy with the brace being on the same line as the if or whatever in JavaScript, where it's the norm.
Yeah.
And in Java and Kotlin, where it's the norm. But in C#, no.
No.
No,
Wrong.
it goes on its own line. Don't mess with stuff.
No, we're not going to mess with stuff. We're going to fix it.
I do like the way LLMs write tests. They write tests that we should write, but don't, because you're kind of like, does that really need testing?
Let me grab a. I'm going to get a editor config file. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to drop that into here. No, I want it right at the top level, don't I?
You want to buy the .sln file, effectively, yeah.
Yeah, which is almost impossible to do in Visual Studio Code because there's no way of selecting the Claude stuff folder as the thing you want to paste something into.
I just highlight one of the files and then press Control-V.
Will that work? Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Now, this is where I'm sort of optimistically going, oh no, hang on, that's our quality assurance engineer. So that's going to do our code review in a minute.
Yeah.
But first of all, so this is a point where I'm like, I can do a .NET format from the command line and fix all the things.
Yeah.
Or I can say to Claude, apply the format from editor config and see what happens.
Yes.
And one of them doesn't use any tokens.
Yeah, I would run .NET format from the command line.
Well, let's see if that's picked up the things. And well, that would be brilliant if it had fixed anything, but it didn't. Oh no, hang on.
It did.
It did.
Yeah,
but it didn't. It didn't update the display
VS
buffer.
Code didn't reload the file.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
Yep. Should we run it? See if it does anything. Publish. What are we thinking? Do we feel lucky?
Punk. I am. Oh my god.
Status idle. Load folder. All right. The Dropbox creative backing tracks stems. What's least likely to get us a copyright strike?
Who's dead?
Prince is dead. Let's see if it'll load Purple Rain. Okay, select folder.
Oh, interesting.
Mm.
Well, that's quite helpful, actually.
Yep.
We can see if the code review picks that up.
Yeah. Okay. So very promising, right up to the point where we asked it to do something.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Cool. All right. Just going to try it on a different folder, just in case there's some weirdness on that one.
Yeah. No, that's not actually going to play anything because it's not got any of the stuff.
No, it's working. It's actually playing synchronized audio from multiple files.
Is it?
I don't know if you can hear it on the stream.
I can't hear it.
Is StreamYard smart enough that it'll let me share audio? General. Yes. I mean, the other thing I can do is just crank up the speakers. StreamYard costs like £800 a year. There must be a way to share more stuff from it. Right, stop screen. Share screen. Which screen? Some screens let you show audio. Look for the share audio checkbox on the next window. All right. Entire screen. That one. Also share system audio. Okay. Now you need to not talk, because if you talk, it'll share that backwards. But okay, that's interesting. So it didn't work on. Yeah. All right.
Oh, and it seemed to slow down for a minute there.
Yeah. No, there's a tempo change. Let me find, do I have to? So I think what's going on here is that the folders that are crashing it are ones that also have video files in them. So let me find something that I know doesn't have video in it and is at a constant tempo the whole way through. That'll probably do.
There you go.
So Devtones has said it didn't work with the other folder because you were selecting a parent folder instead of the actual folder with the files, which is a valid observation based on what you can see on the stream, but is completely wrong on every conceivable level.
So yes, the reason you can't see the files is because it's the Windows open folder.
This is the open folder thing. You don't see any files. All it shows you is files. If I go into backing tracks and I go into stems on here and I go into, say, that one, that file there is the one with the Logic video, the Logic mix project inside it. This folder is full of MP3s. You just can't see them because it's a folder browser, not a file browser. So anyway, okay, that is quite like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So now we want to get our butler to review the code, don't we?
Sorry, somebody just sent me a feature idea for my project.
Is it that it should talk like a butler?
No, but it is like genius. I will have to get back to her later.
It's just occurred to me that there is a stupid pun in this stream, which is so niche that only a handful of people in the entire world will get it. But Claude Butler was and possibly still is a company that makes mountain bikes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah. Right.
In this particular instance, let's do this in 2 steps.
Yeah.
So we'll get the.
So hang on. Let's just. So we've got as far as. So what we've done is we have used Claude to create 4 personas. The first one was the requirements analyst.
Yes.
We had a chat with Claude wearing that hat, and that wrote a requirements document, which is a markdown file. Then we baked a hat to make Claude be a solution architect and gave that solution architect the requirements file and had a chat with that one, which produced the technical spec and the implementation plan. Then we baked another hat for Claude, which is you are a shithot.NET WPF developer with an audio and libVLC experience who also talks like a pirate. And then we used that persona. Now, just refresh, how does OpenSpec fit into what we've just done there?
Telling the developer persona to run OPSX verify will have different results than telling the QA engineer persona to run.
So
OPSX
OPSX is a tool that the Claude agent is using, but still informed by whatever hat Claude is wearing right now.
Yes.
And it is the tool which manages the parity between, so we've got the sort of requirements in the spec, which is the whole big, this is where we want to end up. And now OpenSpec is breaking incremental development down into documented changes. Let's get from here to here, and then get from here to here, and then from here to here. And doing so in a way that means each of those changes results in a bunch of files that Claude can read and use them to generate code.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So what I normally do at this point in a sort of day-to-day process is this thing has instructions to review all the changes on this branch, so it can do like a git thing to see what all the changes are, and then write comments and things into a markdown file that can then be fed. Ask it to check. Please check what branch we're on. This is where Opus would probably do a better job.
Yeah.
And now it will apologize. Yeah, there you go. My
apologies
for
the earlier imprecision, sir. We are, in fact, on phase 1 Foundation audio engine. Oh, that's interesting.
Not make that error again.
Yep. Okay.
So yes, please review the code and discuss any issues with me. One does not review code one has not yet read. So, yep.
Yep. Claude stuff and find dot minus type f backslash bracket minus name start JSON YAML YML XML grep e project config ts config just. That's cute.
I would say no.
I don't see what it does. I mean, I think it's trying to review a TypeScript project.
Yes, it does appear to be doing that.
Yes.
We didn't specify .NET when we created the prompt. But it seems to have figured it out now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it can figure out that the prompts directory is not. This is where you would put in like exclude the following folders from your reviews and things.
Yeah.
And you could put glob patterns and stuff into there. So yes, for those watching along, this is an iterative process. And this is why we do this very much human in the loop to start off with all projects. When I start a new project or when I'm sort of starting changes to an existing project, then the prompts and the instructions in Claude.md and the persona files, all these things, you are constantly going back and fine-tuning them and adding additional instructions, constraints, whatever. But at the same time, Claude also does have a memory, and you can get Claude to make a note for future sessions, only to review videojam and videojam.tests, for example, or only review the .NET artifacts.
Remind me how I see how many tokens we have left.
You can do, if you go to the other Claude.
Yeah. Hang on.
Well, no, it'll warn you when you start to run low.
Yeah.
This is the thing. There's no. I have legitimately considered writing or getting Claude to write a proxy for Claude that I can run locally that will then provide one additional API endpoint, which is how many tokens have we got left in this session?
/ usage.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh no, that is showing. Blimey, that's showing it.
Yeah.
So we've used 43% of our allowance, and it resets at 7 p.m. Europe, London.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Which is 5 hours after we started using it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is on the $15 a month Pro, not basic, ultra, mega, super tastic model, just the basic one.
And we're using Sonnet, not Opus. If we were using Opus, we would have burned all of the tokens.
Yeah.
Long before now. Yeah. Again, because I'm on my limited token budget at the moment, I've got into the habit of just before I go to bed, I think of what am I going to be doing in the morning, and this is a helpful tip for people, so might make a short out of this. So yes, if you are running with limited tokens, just as you're about to go to bed or whatever, you can use Opus to plan, research, and then create documents, which then the next day you can feed those documents into Sonnet, and Sonnet will do a better job. But you're just going to go, hey, Opus, tomorrow morning I'm going to do this, this, and this. Can you research these things and summarize this information? One thing that LLMs are incredibly good at is summarizing an enormous amount of information, synthesizing it into something. And if you tell it that the purpose for doing that is to feed it into a Claude session using Sonnet, it will fine-tune it for that. And so yes, I did a bunch of stuff last night researching a particular software technology and best practices for securing it and that sort of thing, just to make sure that some stuff that I did this morning was going to be correct. So there you go.
Interesting.
Opus just before.
So audioengine.cs line 78. It's picked up an invalid cast exception.
That looks like the error that we were getting.
Looks like the error that we were getting. So that was an Audio Engine 78. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that iDisposable, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else did it find?
Audioengine.cs 171 monostems are not being upmixed, which is so what this is doing is it's passing a sample provider is a thing that gives you audio frames, basically audio samples.
Yeah.
And it can have a sample rate and a number of channels. And this thing is saying, look,
keep talking, I will be able to hear you.
Yeah, this thing here is saying, if the one you've given us, okay, so extract the wave format from the source. If it has the same sample rate and the same number of channels as whatever mix format, I'm guessing must be a property of the... Yeah, okay, cool. So it's got a static read-only mix format. 44102 is 44,100 kilohertz. 2 channels. So this is basically CD quality stereo. And look at that. Yeah, it's got it in the comment. That's quite neat and utterly redundant, but there you go. And so, yeah, it's correctly picked up that if we give it a 44.1 kilohertz stereo WAV file, we can use that directly. If we give it a 22500 WAV file, it needs to resample it to get the right rate of frames to be able to mix it in with the others. But if we give it a mono input file, it's going to blow up because it's going to try to create a sampling provider. Yeah. I don't know what this code would do if we gave it a mono input file, but this is, yeah, this is exactly something I would notice reading through the code. If I was really paying attention, actually, it's quite possible this would just be like a, yeah, that looks fine. But yeah, that will probably blow up if we give it a mono file.
Okay. So you should just be able to go back to the Claude session. It was asking if you wanted to discuss the remediations for this.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. First of all, what I want to do is let's go into the Dropbox Creative backing track stems. That'll do. So what I'm gonna do is I want to see what actually happens. I'm going to copy one of those base mono.mp3. Let's open that with Audacity. We could FFmpeg this, but I cannot off the top of my head remember the syntax.
You know who could remember the syntax?
Claude.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I'm not giving Claude access to the folder where all the backing tracks are yet.
Fair.
So, right.
This is something you would use co-work for.
Yeah.
Incidentally, co-work at your stems folder and get it to tell you if any of the files in there are mono or stereo or whatever.
So what do I want to do? I want to split stereo to mono. There we go. So now we can delete that track completely. And now file export audio, export to computer. Yep, the Dropbox Creative backing tracks, stems, Dua Lipa levitating, base mono.wav. Okay, and yes, that is a mono. Let's make it a mono MP3 because that's what the others are in. Yes. Okay.
Cool.
And so now if we boom. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
So it does show a sensible error.
The code review has actually found an actual error that will actually break if you have any MP3 files in there which are not stereo. So this is, to me, this is interesting for a couple of reasons. One is, despite all of that extensive to and fro conversation prompting for questions, the issue of what happens if you have a mono file never came up in the requirements. And the other one is that the code review agent did actually go, that doesn't look right. That looks like it might not work. And it called it correctly. And I am just going to delete that file before it ends up messing up a concert for real. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
We got the same birthday, you know, me and Dua Lipa.
Are you? I have
August
the same
babies
birthday.
represent.
I have the same birthday as Chloe Grace Moretz.
Cool.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, right. So yeah,
mine was much earlier than hers.
Well, obviously, yes. Yes.
So yes, and then you got muted, ignored video, audio, audible during phase 1 testing.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
Think we can ignore that
deal.
for now. So yeah, we can just say yes. let's discuss.
What would you suggest?
Let's take a look at some things here. Have you ever used Claude to produce estimates? No. I despise estimates. And the thing is, estimates has gone so wacky. I've used Claude, so with OPSX 0 and earlier versions of this process, I've used Claude to plan entire projects. And it literally broke things down into 2-week sprints, and then we did them the next day, the whole thing. So estimates are suddenly very mutable.
All right. Query says, yes, that's right. Sample, yep. Returns only the wrapper, which is not iDisposable. Yep.
Create reader is given access to what is called reader.
Right. So
yeah.
I mean, return a tuple to me is like what you
It's
really
ugly.
want. You want a class.
I'd want a wrap. Yeah, I'd want a wrapper class.
Okay. Can we wrap? So for scenario, what? No, it'll figure out. Can we wrap? Can we type? Can we do that? What was it? The iStream
iSample provider.
iSample provider.
Reader.
iSample provider. Which implements iDisposable itself and avoids the unsafe cast. It's julienning, look.
Yes. I'm pretty sure it's a thing you do to carrots.
Yes, it's turning our project into very, very thin slices of vegetables suitable for putting in a ratatouille.
Ah, yes. Although if you then chop them one more time and turn them into finely diced carrots and celery, you can use it as the base for a delicious ragu.
Yeah, asking the code review to be a butler was a good idea. Yeah. Yep. Interestingly, what it hasn't picked up is that there's an editor config file that says don't use underscores on private members, but
is there?
Yeah. I don't do that.
I do.
I don't.
Let's never ever work on a project together.
I will quite happily work on whatever standards are established on the project I'm working on, but I see no reason to take somebody else's code that I don't like and inflict that discomfort on myself. Yep. Readers is currently typed as a list of disposable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it doesn't fix issue 2, so let's discuss issue 2.
Issue 2, the suggestion it had was fine. Just feed it into a mono to stereo sample provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes. So now I ask it to write this to a qa.md file for the developer agent to read and act on.
What's the advantage of doing that?
It's how we're going to communicate what the reviewer said back into the developer persona.
Okay. It's flibbity-gibbiting. So Vax Headroom has just commented while that's grinding away, shares a birthday with Mark and Scott Kelly. Mark and Scott Kelly are awesome because they are identical twins.
Yes.
And at one point, they basically, NASA was like, can we get you two to be as identical as possible? Like you literally eat the same stuff and drink the same stuff and live the same life for a year. And then we're going to send one of you to space and keep the other one on the ground and see what happens. And yeah, I would very much like to see Mark Kelly as the next president of the United States, because I think we need an astronaut president, because that would be good.
I think all presidents should be taken up into space. So I think all leaders of all countries should be taken up into space so that they can see the Earth.
Yeah.
As a blue marble hanging in space.
Go on, point to your bit.
Loop around the sun. Have you had any success with getting Claude to watch as you code and continue the task from there, as though it were a dev watching over your shoulder instead of explaining through English prompts? I have not tried that. There are, I believe, some of the AI, they're basically forks of VS Code. So Cursor, Windsurf, Anti-Gravity, is that Google's one? I believe that those are aiming for a more pair programming approach instead of
yes,
this approach, which I believe in my NDC talk I referred to as micromanaging stupid geniuses or idiot savants or something. But well, it's 07 races. It would also mean you need a certain level of physical and mental fitness to become a president. It would change it to become president or die trying.
Yes,
but I am absolutely saying that politicians and leaders and anybody who voluntarily puts thought leader as kind of like the headline feature in their LinkedIn bio definitely belongs on the Ark Fleet ship B, the Golga Frinchen, with the telephone sanitation engineers and the hairdressers.
So we've got QA.md.
Okay.
So
now
let me.
You need to exit out of that Claude because you just ran it with Claude.
Yeah.
And make sure you run it with the Claude system prompt thing. There you go.
Developer.md. That's the one.
Right. And then you can say read.
Let me just check what we're at with the GitHub thing. Do we have outstanding? Okay, so all we've got is QA.md.
Yeah. So we're not going to get that.
Oh, the rest is staged but not committed. Interesting. That was my .NET format, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Yep.
So yes, and now you can just say read at qa.md. That's it. So yes, Claude has sub-agent support built into it now, and later in the week we will come back, do a different stream, and you will actually have a sort of developer agent and a QA agent, and this whole part of the process will
Shiver
be
me timbers,
automated.
Captain. 2 sea monsters in the hold. See, I like time to fix them proper. Okay, so what are we suggesting here? Yep. So create reader is going to return an audio reader, which should be a new class in here.
Yeah, it's down the bottom.
I'm going to yes to all the things and then look at it in the Git review before we, because
Scott Kelly is a few microseconds younger than his twin. He is, yes, spending whatever it was, a year in orbit.
Yeah, he was on the ISS for a year.
It does, because you're traveling at 17,000 kilometers an hour relative to things that are on the surface of Earth. Relativity and time dilation does actually come into effect.
Okay, so create reader returns audio reader, not a sample provider. Yeah, let's take a look at. Okay, so audio reader implements both of those. Owner is the I dispose. Oh, that's nice. I quite like that.
Yeah.
So you can hang this off anything disposable.
Yes.
And plug a sample provider source into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Has it added tests for audio reader though?
It has not added any. It hasn't changed any tests as part of this.
Yeah. So I'm going to just at this point, I personally will push back and say, can you add tests for audio reader?
Yeah.
Which is going to throw it, because now it's going to have to make it internal static or something and make internals visible, or I don't know, but yeah.
I would like to see it. I mean, this is the whole, what's your testing approach? Do you make everything public so you can test all the tiny little bits? Or
do you test something that consumes the thing?
Yeah. I mean, this is the point where what I'd like to do is start adding some actual media files to the project so that it can... The right fix is to extract it to its own internal class, wire up internals visible to. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yep, that's the internals visible. That's split into its own class.
Oh yes, Windows, the WPF app still uses assemblyinfo.cs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's old school. 28,000 kilometers an hour, 17,500 miles per hour. Thank you very much, chat. I love chat. Chat is brilliant. Chat's like having, it's honestly, it's like having an army of but all of chat together kind of forms a gestalt.
There must be some way that we can get paid just to hang out on Twitch all day, and we get Claude to write all the code, and we get chat to answer all the questions, and we're just kind of the facilitators of the whole endeavor.
Yeah,
yeah.
Somebody pay us to do this.
Yeah,
for God's sake.
Okay, that's worked and done stuff. And audio reader tests.
Yeah, that's a stub sample provider and a SPI disposable. SPI disposable, I like that.
I like that. That's quite neat. Yeah.
Delegates to source. Read delegates to source and return source count. Respects offset. Disposes reader. Yeah.
Okay.
That all looks good.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to do one last thing. So it's saying the OPSX : verify.
Yep.
We're going to run that, but we're going to run it in the QA.
Okay. So over here, we're going to OPSX verify. Yep.
Yes. So this looks at everything and says, have we done all the things for this phase? Because it knows that something has gone and ticked all the tasks and everything, but it's using the sort of skill and commands and everything to check that all the stuff that has been done, which we've reviewed the code quality and caught a couple of nasty little bugs and stuff. Yes, so that's the one. Choose that.
Yep.
Press enter. And yeah, don't ask again for open spec commands.
Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, it's entirely possible that it would review the code and go, oh yes, this is lovely code and everything is right and all the disposables are disposable and everything. And then you go, haha, we're done. And then it turns out that actually it doesn't do the stuff that it was supposed to do at the end of phase one.
Yeah.
But yes, and running verify in the QA persona means it is more likely to sort of thoroughly document and explain and everything, and then the developer can fix it, rather than OPSX verify run as the developer, which will just try and fix it and go, oh, I see we haven't done this. Let me just implement this quickly. And so you don't get that feedback loop, which is very useful to track what's going on and make sure that you sort of know what's happened. And yes, you will eventually get to the point where you just let it go.
Vax Headroom recently got a task at work to document 1 million lines of code, not hyperbole, which is largely uncommented, and needs to use an AI tool for this, but they won't let you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you. I hate that for you. There is nothing more frustrating than knowing that a thing is there and would do this like in an afternoon. But no, they want you to. Although actually, 1 million lines of code, that's yeah, that's a lot of tokens. Two tasks remain incomplete, C1 and C2, and 2 spec requirements are not met by the current implementation.
What are C1 and C2? What's it talking about? How do we
implement audio reader wrapper?
Mm-hmm.
So audio is correctly internal. The test project currently has no assembly internals visible to attribute.
It's running on an out-of-date snapshot because it doesn't know what's changed in the other window.
Yeah, so please update your snap. Hopefully, it does seem to have figured out now that it's just looking at XAML and C# and CSPodge files and not going off and reading all the bloody markdown stuff in the prompts directory. Okay, that's a good question. Really sorry for posting this same question twice, and I know this is not the point of this stream, but is this actually fun for you? To me, the act of programming, solving problems is inherently fun. I'm going to be completely honest. I've been a software engineer now for 36 years. Professional people have been paying me to do this. I took a few years off to be funny for money, which was fun, but not as much fun. This is programming, this is solving problems, and yes, this is fun. To me, typing lines of code, typing C# or JavaScript or whatever it might be, is very rarely fun. There are bits of it that are fun. Solving problems that haven't been solved before. Coming up with, I did a couple of things, but even then, typing the actual code, typing the method calls and the class names and all that sort of stuff, that's not the fun bit. The fun bit happens in my head. You're productive when you're sitting staring into space and trying to work out the best way to do something, or just kind of like maybe experimenting and you're writing code, but it's in a console application and you're trying to work out how to implement something, how to get something, how to achieve it, how to pass data from a span of byte or whatever it might be. Creating wrappers around sample providers and disposables, typing that code, that's not fun. not for me. I don't know about Dylan.
I'm going to disagree with you because I feel quite differently about it. I have always enjoyed so we can separate the craft of developing software from the physical act of typing lines of code. And for me, typing lines of code has always been a bit like doing jigsaw puzzles or building Lego sets. It is a mechanical activity which I find very conducive to a flow state. And for me, the perfect language IDE programming tools is one that I can basically, I can write code as fast as I can understand it. And so I am neither struggling to get the model I have in my head out into the system because the system is too damn slow. That was a thing I always had with VBScript, is VBScript I found too verbose and was always frustrated that I'd figured out in my head what it needed to do, and now I needed to type what felt like all of this unnecessary syntax and everything. For me, C# with resharper and a good unit test feedback loop, that kind of thing, kind of almost keeps up with the pace at which my brain can understand what it is that I'm doing. Now, that's fun. I like it. There is definitely an argument that I have spent a lot of my life basically getting paid to build Lego. And now that there is a better way of solving business problems than building Lego, I should stop expecting to get paid to do that, which I think is something that a lot of folks in this industry are currently grappling with. Is, if I'm not typing the code, what am I actually doing, and how do I get paid for it, and what happens when it goes wrong, but there is, I think, a certain degree. I'm absolutely certain that LLMs are going to replace a non-zero part of software development. We don't know how much, and we don't know which bit, but some of it is going to go away. And, I like programming. I like the craft, and I will obsess about the aesthetics of a single method or a single function in a way that makes no difference to anybody else except maybe a particularly, similarly minded maintenance programmer who comes along years later and goes, "Oh, that's a nice method." But no one gives a crap. You don't get, paid anymore. The method doesn't go faster because it looks nice. But I have always enjoyed that aspect of what I do. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed the last few years about being, teaching programming is actually getting to say, look, this is the problem. This is some code that solves it. And this is some code I think solves it better. And this is some code that I think not only solves it better, but it looks nice. And this is why these are the advantages of this particular way of structuring it all. And yes, I was just thinking as we were doing this, let's imagine that, we had sat down, because we're coming up on like 9 hours of streaming now.
Yeah.
And if the two of us had sat down and spent 9 hours without using Claude trying to build a N audio multi-stream desktop playback thing using WPF, I don't know how far we'd have got compared to where we are right now. I think we'd have got to this point much earlier in the process, but we wouldn't have laid all of that groundwork in terms of the architectural decisions and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm doing the reason why I wanted to do these sessions and why I'm streaming them is I don't know. I have been looking at what's going on with things like Claude Code and Ralph for a couple of months now and being like, I am in no position to, one, is this what I want to learn how to do so I can do it for the rest of my working life? I don't know. Two, if I am taking money from clients and I am writing code by hand the way I have done for the last 20 years, is that ethically defensible? Am I ripping them off? Am I making other people pay for the fact that I want to build Lego? I don't know. I don't feel like I have the experience. And of course, it doesn't help that the whole thing is moving so fast that this afternoon's conclusion will probably be out of date when, a couple of months or a couple of weeks or by tomorrow or something. Yes. But the only, all I think that anybody can do in this situation, and I appreciate I'm fortunate to have the time to do this at the moment, mainly because I'm living on my own savings, is to do the work, to actually go through and be like, right, how do you make it go? What do you put in? What do you get out? How does it behave? Where are the inflection points? Where are the bits where the human in the loop still feels indispensable? What is going to be the hacker news headline that means one of my assumptions is no longer valid and I need to go and revisit some part of it?
Yes.
And,
what Anthropic done now?
Yeah. And it is, like trying to solve algebra while a series of people are lining up to kick you in the head. I have never, ever felt so utterly overwhelmed from one day to the next by not just the number of shifting priorities and moving goalposts, and you should use this, no, you should use that. But the extent to which people are, oh, well, this is the future, and if you don't believe it, then you're cooked, and you're finished. And I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. That discourse is not helping anybody. I know that you need to get your $10 billion back out of this thing somehow, but they're tools. Figure out how they work. Use them to solve problems that you understand and problems that you don't, and be prepared for someone to take the Lego sets away. But I still have not seen anything that suggests that. I mean, in my head, I have a little list of all the people who have ever given me money to write software, and I know who those people are because they are individuals I've worked with. And out of 15, 20, maybe 25 over the course of my career, possibly 2 of them I can imagine sitting down with an AI prompt and actually solving one of their business problems without someone like me in the loop.
Yes. I think that's the key thing is that this is not replacing us. And the ability to think the way we think and know the stuff we know is still important. Cool. You could have somebody who can play guitar could have asked for this app, and they don't know anywhere near the amount of stuff that Dylan. They don't have the domain knowledge of audio file formats and all. Even if they can run a mixing desk, they still don't necessarily know about mono, stereo, WAV, MP3, MP4, libVLC. Dylan knew that NAudio and libVLC existed before we started this, and it was kind of like we're just going to use them. So yes, I need to drop off.
That's cool.
A banging headache at the back of my skull, but also I need to eat before climbing. I do just want to one last thing. Please don't apologise for posting the same question twice. If we didn't answer it the first time round, it's because we missed it. There's a lot of messages scrolling past on this interface for us. It was a very good question. Thank you for asking it. I'm going to go through some of the others. 07 Rain, yes, developing. So even when I started in 1990, they used a process called SSADM, and there was also Prince and Prince 2.
Yeah.
And the thing that the analyst would hand over to the programmer was pseudocode, and then the programmer would translate that into C. And pseudocode looked kind of like BASIC a bit, or Python or something. And then people started inventing higher level languages like Infomix 4GL, which looked like pseudocode. And so then that kind of step of the analyst, right? So then we invented the job title analyst programmer, where you did both those bits. But yes, and now we are micromanaging teams of idiots. But yes, we are solving problems usually by creating code, sometimes by changing processes from surly dev. Exactly, very good point. Whether you are manually writing the code by typing it into Vim or you're doing it another way is a philosophical question.
Cool.
Happy? Yeah, better?
Yep. So the reason that one sounds like garbage is that so I went into load folder, and if I grab that thing and open that in Windows Explorer, you can see what's actually in there, which is a bunch of MP3s, but also the MP4 video files. And the video files don't have a click on the count-in.
Yes.
And so that's why when you hit play, it sounds wonky.
Because we haven't got to the requirement that we mute the video.
But it's extracting the audio frames from the MP4 video file now. It's not getting that invalid cast exception. I think the reason for that is that the audio stream embedded inside the MP4 is probably AAC. And the AAC wrapper in NAudio doesn't implement iDisposable the same way that the MP3 one does. Anyway. So that is, we're good.
I'm just
It's
quickly
nice.
blitzing through these before dropping off the stream. So Dorothy, I wonder what happens to hackathons now. I think they become much more productive, and I think people get more sleep at them. So yeah, one might venture to observe that ethics have regrettably been shown the door, Captain. We're figuring the ethics out.
Ethics is a place next to Thuthick.
Ethics.
In the southern part of England.
Yeah. How widespread will these tools be if we ever made to pay the actual price of the compute? The actual price is like 10 times higher than what we pay currently. I think the compute will become cheaper rather than the price going up. ARM chips, there's sort of people are building new things. There's things that are reducing the power requirement. A big part of the cost is the power requirement. And I was talking to Dylan last week about optical metasurfaces, where you sort of dynamically reconfigurable optical metasurfaces, where you encode an LLM into glass, shine lasers in one side, and different laser light comes out on the other side, and that's it. And so there's no silicon, there's no heat dissipation. It's much simpler, effectively. So yes, but that is a good point. And what are your thoughts on AI allowing you to solve problems you might not have known how to solve? I wouldn't know where to start writing something like Video Jam, but I could probably figure it out eventually. This is from Micro 500. What I've seen in these streams, it seems like it might be faster for me to use AI to write it for me instead of spending time researching libraries to use and reading documentation. I repeatedly used Claude during the last 3 months of last year. The last 3 months I spent at my previous employer, using it to solve problems, to solve problems that I wasn't 100% sure how to solve before I started, and were not in my sort of domain expertise, and B, solve those problems in programming languages that I didn't know: Zig, Objective-C++, Kotlin, Java, because Android applications, iOS applications, and cross-platform native binary stuff. Using AI to write it for me instead of spending time researching libraries to use and reading documentation. I use the AI to make that research and reading bit faster. So the AI can summarize the documentation for me. The AI can do the research, tell me its opinion, but you sort of go, justify your opinion. I must have absorbed some of the neighboring persona's vocabulary. Good grief.
The streams
so
are
yes,
this
is when I use Claude Desktop. This is when I use the projects feature in Claude Desktop. I've got projects in there which are me doing the research step and going, we need to figure out, this is going to be a project, but I want to figure out the best ways to do it and the best libraries to use. And you're going to look at GitHub projects, and you're going to sort of find out what prior art exists and all this sort of stuff. I wrote Claude and I wrote a Python application that used an LLM to follow along with something and do something. And I've just remembered that it's under NDA. So anyway, I didn't know how to write that Python. I'm not a Python expert. I wasn't really clear on how to load an LLM and how to use it and what library we should use. And a little bit of time with Claude, and it went, well, if it's running on a Mac, then you should probably be using MLX, and there's a nice MLX-LM library for Python that you can use, and we can just wrap a gRPC server around it. And it's kind of like, cool, let's do that then. Yes, I didn't know any of that stuff, but I don't feel like it by the time I opened Claude Code and went, let's do this, I was able to express it using the information that I had got from doing a joint exploration with Claude Desktop as my co-pilot.
No, Claude's not Copilot. Copilot is something else.
Don't
mix up the nouns. It's hard enough.
But now I want a bumper sticker that says Claude is my co-pilot. Anthropic, make bumper stickers that say Claude is my co-pilot. Also, Anthropic, give us free Macs.
Yeah.
We're doing this
give us
stuff.
We're doing all this free
Make us like
promotion
Claude
for you.
insiders so that we can do this. Pay us. Just
when you say free Macs, do you mean free Macs or free Macs?
Both.
Yeah. Right. Phase
Max
1 is shipped, sir. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Nice.
So phase 2 tomorrow.
We're not doing this in Lisp. Oh, you would. That's because you were saying ethics. Well done. Well played, Jeffrey.
Good one, Jeff. Yeah, that took a moment.
Is there a chance of LLM compute becoming distributed? Seriously, you look at the specs of the M5 Ultra, which Apple is going to start shipping. It's probably going to cost between 10 and 12, maybe 15,000 of your local currency units, euros, dollars, pounds. It's going to have a terabyte of unified memory, I believe is the term. You will be able to load a terabyte, and the Mac Studios now come with built-in ridiculously fast networking, so you can mesh 4 or 5 of them together, and so you can run that would run Claude, that would run Opus, and I do think we're going to get to this model where it is running distributed. Maybe, probably not this year, but in the kind of like early 2030 sort of time, I am expecting this to become a lot more local. The thing that I am currently working on building does not use any online agents. It's running a variety of models, and I'm currently sort of trying to work out where the best thing is. It might hook to sort of public agents like Claude or ChatGPT if you ask it a general question like how many sheep are there in France. It might go off and just go, I'm going to cheat and ask ChatGPT for that. But if you ask it to check your emails for any meetings, that'll happen using a local engine.
Right.
And
I'm going to drop.
Part of the business plan there is to sell appliances to run it.
Phase 2 tomorrow.
So yes, we'll do phase 2 tomorrow. And I do have a hard stop at 4 tomorrow, just so you know. Cool. But you can always finish up without me.
Well, what I will try to do ahead of tomorrow is I will prep some mono and stereo MP4 and WAV and MP3 files, so we have actual files we can run through the thing to check sync and everything.
Nice.
And that'd be fun. Right.
Thanks everybody for watching along. If you've watched or you've watched later or something, please like and subscribe. And maybe our dream of doing this all day for a living.
Oh yeah, and I need to plug my workshops that I'm doing, because I'm doing workshops. So you need to go to dylanbeatty.net/workshops, which I'll put in the chat now. And because I'm doing one about how to do good presentations and how to write them and how to do PowerPoint and how to rehearse and all that kind of stuff. And another one which is all about CSS, because I did my CSS talk at NDC London. Everyone went, wow, CSS is amazing now. I didn't know about all this stuff. And there is early bird ticketing this week
tomorrow,
and it runs out.
I will be able to plug my workshop, which is Mastering Claude Code, a 2-day workshop for software engineers.
Cool. All right. See you tomorrow, folks.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.